And around April, students around me are starting to talk about their acceptance letters. And I started to listen, and I'm like, oh, like, because it was like a buzz. And I thought, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm hearing it more and more every day, and then every week. And I thought, oh, how do they, when did they apply to college? When did this happen? So eventually, they started asking me, hey, do you know where you're going to go? And I would just say, no, no, not yet. But I started to feel kind of embarrassed, kind of, yeah, a bit of shame, because I thought, I don't, I'm not doing this. I'm not in with this thing, but everyone was figuring that I was. And I wondered, when did this happen? Like, when was it that you got to start applying and applications? I must have, missed that. No one, my parents don't know about that, and the teacher told me about it either. So I didn't know UC. I didn't know what UC was. I didn't know the UC system. I heard of Cal State here in like Cal State Pomona, but I didn't know that either. I just thought those were just the names of colleges. I didn't know there was a whole Cal State system and a UC system and public versus private. I didn't know any of this stuff. So I graduated and then I just started working. I started working. I was very critical of my education because I wanted to get the truth. I remember being upset about government class or economics. I wanted the teachers to just tell us the truth. Don't feed us the stuff from the textbook. Don't make it dry. Like be real. And I don't. I think that's when I started to distinguish. From 15, 16, 17 years old, I started to see that there's different worlds. There's what the government says and what religion says, and this is one thing. But then what I'm seeing over here, whether it's with my family or with people on the streets, is different. They're not part of that story. They're out in the margins. So I wanted to obtain some truth. And any teacher that spoke to me that was just straight, like, okay, look, man, if they were just say, hey, yeah, look, yeah, there's some stuff is shitty. And if they would just say like something like that, I would be like, okay, I can trust you. Cool, just that's all. Just talk straight. Don't give me your this and that. Just sort of a glossy or story, or your lectures, your lessons are just the dictated, thing on the program, and you're just doing your job. I wanted actual engagement. I remember that, and every once in a while I'd get it, and that teacher would get my respect. From college, I was seeking. I think I was seeking to. I thought college is the place where none of that matters now. Now it's going to be real because you're paying for it. So professors will be like, you show up to class, it's you. No one cares. You're not going to get a note, go to the office, principal's office, or you show up late to class after write you up. It's not on them. It's like, this is one of my classes, and it's up to you to show up. So I thought, here's where I'm going to get that truth I was talking about. Here's where I get to explore the meaning of life, the meaning of things, and that's what I wanted. I think maybe from college, I wasn't. I figured a career would just automatically follow. That was the thing. I thought I made it to Berkeley, made it to college, university. Just do this, and automatically the next thing follows, which is not the case. You have to plan it. So I focus more on personal growth and learning about the world, like what really the world is made of. And I also wanted exciting experiences, the stuff that I read about in the books. When I used to read a lot of biographies, I thought, I want my life to be worthy of a biography. So I was looking for crazy experiences, revolutionary experiences, experiences that are enlightening and fantastic, that someone would want to write about, and other people would read and go, wow, this is really interesting. So that's what I was looking to obtain from my undergrad. I never wanted to be a sissy or a punk or, sell out something weak. No matter that I read more and more books, and I think that when I started boxing in college, I felt like, well, that's going to keep my, people call it street cred, but what I meant was it balances out the intellectual side. It's like it's not all mental. I also have my hands can write and they can also be fists. And it wasn't that I was a peleonero. I wasn't a someone that got in fights, but I always had this sense of masculinity or this toughness that I thought you always have to be able to protect yourself, and you always have to. For me, what I thought was masculine, I wanted to preserve that. So I didn't want to become like a pencil neck geek or paper pusher. Very like soft in that way. That's something that I remember thinking about at some point. It wasn't a fear. I think I just thought because my cousins, I used to have cousins that would see me with my books, and they would just like, oh, they grab the books and be like, oh, what, you smart or something? And then I'm like, nah, and then like that was a bad thing. And they're just asking like, maybe they were just innocently asking, like, you do good in school, like you actually pay attention, and maybe it was just natural curiosity, but I took it as, I was questioning my toughness, my manhood. So I'd say, oh no, there's some girl that I'm trying to date, so I was carrying her books for her, something like that, just to protect my image.
Yeah.
So silly. So I think that implanted something from early on, that even though I thought, oh, I'm in college now, that doesn't mean that I don't want to be smart or something. Only I gotta be able to. I still work on cars. I know how to work on cars, and I know how to fight. so that'll at least keep that credibility up to an acceptable level for those people that I still wanted to be seen. I wanted their approval to some degree. The most significant roadblock from the beginning was the sense that 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 I don't belong. That do I have, like what I wrote to you before, do I have permission to succeed? The image that we see about ourselves. And you don't see people that look like you or have names that sound like you, that come from the background, immigrant background, Latino immigrant background. Uh, you don't see messages in society that show you that you also succeed. And that is a big, I think that's the most significant roadblock for, I think, all Latino students from the very beginning of grade school all the way through. And it's easy to accept negative things because it falls in line with that narrative. Like there's things that are already reinforced in the back, and if you have a failure or a professor marks you for something wrong, or you have something that doesn't work out, it falls into that foundation of this narrative of, well, you see, it's because what do you expect, or that's that. Whereas if I were to get arrested and get in trouble, it's almost like you accept it because you go, well, that does seem to also fall in line with the narrative. It's like, well, yeah, that happens, and you get angry, but it's like on some level, it's you're like, yeah, you see exactly, that's how things are. That's what it is. I wish people would just say it. This is how things are. It's not, you're not cared for, or you're not viewed positively in society. So that is, I think, the biggest roadblock. The it affects your self perception, and you don't see yourself in the places of success as easily as you see yourself in the places of either failure or what success means. Success means, hey, I got a job here, because that's what all my cousins would tell me. It's like, well, why are you going to college? I mean, because your cousin Freddie or so and so, he's working over here as doing construction or doing this, and he's making this much money, more money than this other person who went to college, or so it just gets broken down as, it just, all that matters is get a good job, have get married, have kids, and make some money. That's success. And so it's a very narrow or very limited view of what success is. I mean, there's only a couple options, but there's a lot of other options for what the opposite of success is for you. So that's what I would say is the biggest obstacle, because when we talk about diversity and inclusion, I can be in the school, I made it inside, but once in there, it still means like you still have to contend with all this. Like you're in now, but can you graduate and can you make that mean something? It's it's not just for the institution to say, well, see, we got more diversity, we got these people, we can check those boxes off. But once you're in there, what's the retention rate? And what's your experience while you're inside the institution? But I feel that the most disturbing probably has to do with economics, socioeconomics, that money determines so much of the education that a kid gets, as well as the experience that a child has from her parents, uh, because of socioeconomics. We live in a society that treats you better if you're rich and guilty than if you're poor and innocent. We live in a society that treats you better if you're rich and guilty than if you're poor and innocent. And I see that happening in education as well. You seem to be able to get a better education if you're rich but not interested or not that great of a student than if you're poor and still a great student and very interested and passionate. I wish I knew in undergrad that I need to be thinking about what I do in undergrad has to connect with what I do next. So ask myself, what do I want to do, and and what where do I want to be? Like know how to do the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan. I wish I could do that. That's what I would show myself in high school as well as undergrad, and learn how to ask the question, how to answer that. So where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in X number of years? And then if what I'm doing now, how is it leading me to that or taking me away from that? And to be able to check in with that stuff. The things that that I've learned here recently, that I see a lot of my friends here learning about, what kind of person are you? Are you task oriented or people oriented? Uh, these personality self assessment tools where you learn how you deal with things, how you look at things, and therefore, knowing that I'm this kind of person, I should schedule things this way, and I should plan things this way. I would say always aim for the top. Be audacious in what you aim for, and don't rejections don't mean that you can't get what you want or that that's over. Rejection, think of it more as technical. It's just a technical thing. It's part of the occupational hazard. It's just what comes with the territory. It doesn't mean anything into your plans of what you want to do in life. You just have to, you go about it different angles. Sometimes the first attempt, uh, part of the process is going to be a no. So you say, okay, well then you just go through another angle, another angle. That's all it is. Just look at it as a technical thing in the steps in the process of doing things that you want to do in life. So I would say be audacious, and aim high. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. Uh, Rejection letters and things like that are just at worst a technical glitch, which it's got nothing to do about you personally. And there's also something to think about there. That's all. It's just another opportunity to learn. Care about your grades, but don't care about your grades. Meaning, do your work, think of the higher purpose. Meaning, I want to learn, I want to get skills. And if you're sincere in your pursuit, I generally say put that effort and the grades will follow. If you get too technical about, well, okay, it's 10% of my grades participation, and this much is how do I did I participate enough? How do I what do I need to do? What exactly is that? People want to break it down, and I understand that, and it's a shame that things have to be broken down in percentages that way. But I would just say focus on your major goals of what you want out of the whole thing, and what's the thing you want to get. Yeah, we want to get A's, but don't just get A's because that's what we want to do. What do you want out of the class? And from there, the grades will follow. So focus on the bigger thing that you want, and the class is being a step in toward that. And if it's a class you say I don't like this class, it's a requirement, still incorporate that idea. If you just have to get through it, then no. Well, this is one of the things that you have to get through because the bigger picture is I want to do this. I want to graduate because I want to do this. And in life, there's things that are a requirement that you may not like or agree with, and that's fine. Learn that you can do them and move on. So that's and do it, and then the grades will follow. So don't get worried about grades in college or in life. And yes, good grades are important. Yes, a degree is important. All that, but why? And why is it important to you? Always check in with that question. Why is what you're doing important? Why is it important to you? Why is it important to your community, your your higher goals? Why is it important to you?